Every addiction starts with a whisper. For Josh, it whispered through smoke, through neon light, through a cracked ceiling in a silent room where no one was listening. The story begins not with chaos, but with silence. Josh was a kid like many others, laughing in school hallways, playing video games, chasing moments that felt like more than just survival. But beneath that smile was a furnace of rage, sorrow, and confusion. A storm without lightning, a war without a name. He didn't understand it at the time, but he was searching for peace, for belonging, for a way to feel something other than the dull ache of being alive in a world that didn't seem to care. And then he found it. It didn't come in the form of therapy or faith. It came rolled up in a joint passed around in a friend's basement. Marijuana, his first escape hatch. But for Josh, it wasn't just getting high. It was like something inside him exhaled for the first time. The anxiety, the pain, gone. He felt seen by the universe, cradled by something bigger than himself. It felt like the missing puzzle piece had clicked in. That was the first door. Then came the next. LSD, the walls started to breathe, time melted, music became a river he could swim in. Josh was no longer a passenger in his life. He was flying the spaceship. He felt connected to the stars, to atoms, to the very mind of God. And then came the movie that changed everything. The Doors, Jim Morrison, psychedelic prophet, rock and roll sorcerer. It wasn't a film to Josh. It was a calling. If Morrison could find meaning in madness, maybe I can too, he thought. Maybe this is how I get free. So Josh dove headfirst into the world of psychedelics, not for party tricks or escape anymore, but for answers. Mushrooms, DMT, visions, rituals. Each trip became a pilgrimage. And then came the light. He wasn't expecting it. The room dimmed, time stilled, and then it was like reality tore at the seams. A low hum vibrated through the floor. Then the walls shimmered. Then they arrived. 3 beings, shimmering like stained glass, set on fire, purple, orange, red. Humanoid, but flickering with an energy too wild to be human. They didn't speak aloud. They thought into his bones. "We're glad you're here. There is peace for you, but you must leave heroin behind." Josh was stunned. He hadn't told anyone about heroin, not even himself. But here they were, glowing, warm, gentle, like cosmic therapists made of stardust. They offered visions, flashes of a future where he OD'd, lifeless and forgotten. And they offered hope, love, purpose. It felt holy. But in the deepest corner of his soul, something twitched, like a wire crossed, a shadow behind the light. "They're beautiful," he thought, "but why am I afraid?" Still, he couldn't let go. The drugs, the beings, the sensations. He believed they were helping, healing him, showing him truth. And heroin? It had become something else entirely. What started as escape became survival. He wasn't using to feel high anymore. He was using to feel normal, to stop shaking, to stop puking, to show up for work, to keep the demons quiet. The same demons the light beings told him to run from, while somehow keeping him in the same trap. But Josh didn't see the trap. Not yet. All he saw was a world that seemed more real when he was high than when he was sober. All he felt was a kind of spiritual electricity humming through every trip, a sense that he was standing at the edge of the universe, waiting for God to say something. "I was chasing the divine," he would later say, "but I didn't know it was chasing me too." The first chapter of his life closed not with healing, but with hunger. a hunger for something deeper, purer, eternal. And what he didn't realize was that the next door he opened wouldn't lead to light. It would drag him straight into the mouth of darkness. Every door you open changes you, but some doors don't lead you out. They lead you deeper, into shadows you can't unsee. The light had come. The beings had spoken. The message was clear. Leave heroin. But Josh didn't. Not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't. You see, heroin doesn't just numb pain. It rewires your brain. It whispers that it's your only friend. And when everything else in your life is falling apart, it becomes the one thing that makes sense. Josh started waking up, not with hunger, but with withdrawal. His body ached like it had been dragged across broken glass, sweats, shakes, vomit. And the needle was the only lullaby that could quiet the screaming. I needed it to function, he'd later admit. It wasn't even about getting high anymore. It was about surviving the day. But even as his body broke down, his spirit searched. He still wanted meaning, still wanted connection. So he turned deeper into the supernatural, Ouija boards, crystal rituals, YouTube gurus who promised ascension, and divine activation codes. He wanted God. But he got everything else. One night, after a heavy dose of DMT, the room split open again. Not metaphorically, literally. The air became liquid. The ceiling cracked like the sky before a storm. And once again, the light beings returned. They hovered above him, pulsing with cosmic energy. Those same three forms, orange, purple, red. But this time, they weren't alone. Something lingered behind them, bigger, quieter, watching. We've warned you, they said, but you are still drifting. And then, the vision. Josh saw his own body, pale and lifeless, slumped over, dragged down a hallway by people with blurred faces. A siren screamed in the background. This wasn't a nightmare. It was a preview. You're going to die, they said softly. But there's still time. He woke up sweating, heart racing. The message hit him hard. But even then, the addiction was stronger. He tried to quit. He really did. Days without it, trembling, praying, vomiting. Then just one hit, just to sleep, just to breathe, and the cycle would begin again. Then came the crash. He lost his place, burned bridges with family, was living out of cars, abandoned homes, trap houses. At one point, he was stealing, just to get by. It wasn't even me anymore, he said. I was like a ghost, watching myself from outside my body. He knew he was on borrowed time. And then, time ran out. The overdose. Josh doesn't remember the full sequence, just the darkness, the spinning, the silence. And then, the figures, not the light beings. These were something else entirely, twisted, grinning. Their skin looked like ash and smoke and bone. They surrounded him in the dark, chuckling like they'd been waiting. He's back, one whispered. He never learns. They reached for him, but before they could drag him down, flashing lights, screaming, hands on his chest, a jolt. He woke up in a hospital bed, wrists cuffed, police at his side. Jail, 18 months, no drugs, no spirits, no light beings, just cement walls and silence. But here, something unexpected happened. A guy came up to me one day, Josh recalled. He handed me a Bible and said, "He's been waiting for you." Josh laughed in his face. But that night, he opened the book. And something strange happened. It felt familiar. Like the words were breathing. Like someone was in the room with him. The seed was planted. But Josh wasn't done running. Not yet. Not until one final trip, the trip that would change everything. A spiritual ambush, a demonic tribunal, and a meeting with Jesus unlike anything he could have imagined.